Welcome to another episode of Flute Tube after what has been kind of a long break, but I'm back. And what I want to talk about today is this book, Reichert Seven Daily Exercises. Here's why I want to tell you about this book. Well, first of all, it's a really good book of exercises, and it works for students and professionals of many different levels. Very useful exercises in here. There are only 7, so we'll go over all of them. But also, I've spent a lot of time here on FluteTube talking through exercises that are in this book, 17 Big Daily Exercises by Taffanel and Gobert, our flute ancestors, because Taffanel taught both Moyes and Gobert. Moyes taught a couple of my teachers, Carol Winsence and Michel Debost. But this book is known kind of all over the world as the Flute Players Bible. So we're constantly playing exercises in this. Also, I've given you these exercises because these are on IMSLP. They're in the public domain. You can get them for free. And I like to just be able to go straight to this resource that's such a good one and have you explore these with me. So I'm going to include some links of other videos I've done featuring these exercises because these are still really important. But of course we get bored and we need variety, and it's good to look at other books. So I'm going to do a few episodes in the upcoming months showing you different books that you can use to vary your routine and get a lot of technical benefit. One reason too that I like to vary things and look at different books is for the development of the little button in your brain that I like to tell my students about. Here's my theory, which is very scientific. You have a little button in your brain that you push when you change keys. And if you have done enough studies, exercises in every single key, all you have to do is push the little button, and no key is harder than any other key. You're just used to all the keys. One potential problem with my theory, though, is that most music is written in very predictable keys. Maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 flats or sharps. If we see 5, we kind of like, why do I have to play 5 sharps? The more exercises you play that have you work your way through every single key, the stronger that little button response becomes, that you push it and it just works. You shift into the new key, you say to yourself, 6 flats, I know exactly what that is. And your fingers just do it. It's in your muscle memory, but it's also locked in your brain. We always want your brain guiding the way of your fingers. Even if you're constantly doing some exercise book, whether it's the Flute Players Bible or something else, you are strengthening that response to be able to play in every key. But we don't want to limit ourselves to the same exercises all the time. If you pick up another book that you haven't seen and you play through it, then you realize I'm getting a little bit foggy on G sharp minor. Even though your brain knows what's in G sharp minor, even though your fingers are constantly playing it in other contexts, you want to do things that will give you a little challenge and check out where the little chinks in your armor really are, where you might have unexpected weaknesses. This is also old by now. It was written a long time ago by now, which means it's in the public domain. So I will give you a link to this as well as the TNG book, so that if anything I'm talking about today intrigues you, it will be easy for you to get there and take a look at it. Because this is so short, 7 daily exercises, we're going to look at all 7. I'm going to talk you through them just a little bit. You can get them in your ear, so it's like a quick overview of what to expect from these exercises. And if you want me to do more of these videos showing you these books so that you have something to practice, and also this is great for intermediate to advanced students if you want ideas for your students, please like the video, please leave a comment so that I'm encouraged to do more of this over the coming weeks. One overarching idea with these exercises is that they should encourage you to play the patterns, the scales, arpeggios, very musically. They're written in a melodic way, so it's not just about the pattern, but it's about phrasing and being musical through the patterns. You You occasionally see 8 VA signs in these exercises. I just always like to do them both so that I'm getting the exercise both in the low register and in the higher register. Also, with most of these exercises, I like to do them in one breath. I determine my tempo partly based on, can I play at this speed and make it through in one breath? Of course, when you're starting and the patterns feel new, don't worry about that. Get the patterns clean, and as you speed it up, then have the goal of doing it in one breath. I think number 3 goes very unexpected places harmonically, especially with the minors. If you haven't played this before, the minors are gonna take you by surprise. You have to get used to how this thing is put together, but then I really enjoy playing it. I think it's quite interesting. Number 4 is perhaps the best example in my mind of how Reichert uses these studies to help us play scales and arpeggios, broken chords musically. I like to stress the note that we go to that's above the chord. I really like how this exercise reaches one note above the chord, the broken chord that we expect, and turns it into something more musical and melodic, and I try to bring that out. Number 5, we get into triplets. This is a longer study, so this one I do let myself breathe. If I really want to go fast, I'll do it in one breath, but that's quite fast, so I would say allow yourself the chance to breathe in the middle of each of these number 5 exercises. He's using arpeggiated chords to create more of a little melody that goes above and below the accompaniment notes, so really let yourself play it as though it's a little melody with accompaniment. Bring out that melody and enjoy it. Number 6, we get to chromatic scales. That seems pretty predictable. What's not predictable in my mind is that, as always, he's taking you through the circle of fifths here, major then minor, then moving down and adding a flat for the next major. You might think, how can you do that with chromatic scales? How can you make a chromatic scale major or minor? So what he's done, I think, is quite clever. He tacks on a major or minor chord at the end to define that you're in C major, then A minor, then F major, then D minor. In number 6, of course, it's also about double tonguing, not just the chromatic scale. So if you get ambitious with your tonguing, if you want to give yourself an extra double tonguing challenge, you can do the thing I advocate sometimes with my students. I talked about it in a video that I will link here, that you can double tongue on each note instead of every other note so that your fingers are going slightly slower, but your tongue is going faster. It's really good exercise for your tongue. With with number 7, we move on from double tonguing to triple tonguing. So we have a slur in here that forces us to do either ta, ka ta ka ta ta, ka ta ka ta ta, ka ta ka ta, or ta, ta ta ka ta ta, ta ta ka ta ta, ta ta ka ta ta. He puts triple tonguing at the top of the page. So he definitely wants that. And I think the slurs actually encourage us to do that, because without slurs you could do ta ka 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 ta and not really think about the fact that we're triple tonguing. So at the end of this book, we've had a good workout. We've gone through all kinds of scale patterns, major, minor, chromatic, all kinds of broken chords or arpeggios, and we've also had a really good tongue workout. As a break from the Flute Players Bible, I highly recommend this book. The main draw for me is that this book encourages us to play these patterns we see constantly with musicality.